I saw this story in my news feed this morning on social media, this report of a dog attack, and I wanted to talk about it briefly. I have talked about this before in previous videos, but it bears repeating. You know, when people use the excuse, oh, the dogs were protecting their property, they were just doing their job, because this is something you hear a lot, and I'm going to address this today. So, first of all, we have a 19-year-old here who was returning to a residence that she had been at the day before to retrieve her purse. Now, it's unclear if the dogs belonged to the family she was visiting or to an adjacent property. I'm not sure. In any event, she was familiar with the dogs. She knew at least one of them by name. She was heard saying, "No, Bosco," which is the dog's name, and then was heard screaming for help. So she knew the dogs. The dogs obviously were familiar with her. They knew she was not a threat, you know? She felt comfortable with these dogs. She did not believe they were vicious. If she did believe that, she would not have approached the property. There's no indication that these dogs had been aggressive prior to this incident. There is no mention of a history of aggression with these dogs. It was a pack of dogs. They were a few dogs. There were Mastiff and Rottweiler mixes and a Pit Bull mix. Anyway, the breeds are unimportant. The point is, well, they are kind of important. You don't see Cocker Spaniels doing this, all right? You don't see Pomeranians doing this type of thing. They attacked her out of the blue for no reason. and the owner of the dogs, first of all, said that they were just doing their job, and then became hostile with the officer who shot one of the dogs, saying, "You killed my dog," and got upset. Because apparently in dog owners' minds, police, authorities, people are supposed to just stand there and watch the dog rip people to shreds and do nothing. Because if they do something to protect the person that is being attacked, the owner becomes angry. And this is the case. You're not allowed to protect yourself or others from attacking dogs. It is insane. It's mental. But anyhow, the owner then changed his story and said that the attack was a freak accident, and said that he would never own vicious dogs. So he said his dogs were not vicious, call it a freak accident. And so he jumps from being a victim, "Oh, you killed my dog," to saying that the dogs were just doing their job, to saying that it was a freak accident. Now, this reminds me a lot of many other stories I've heard. There are too many to mention. One comes to mind. A 6-year-old boy in the UK was playing with a ball that went into the neighbor's garden, and he went into the neighbor's yard to retrieve his ball when he was attacked by a Staffordshire Terrier, which is basically a pit bull type dog that was bred for blood sports, that was bred to be an efficient killer, and has it in its DNA to attack unprovoked, without warning. But again, it's not only pit bull dogs that do this. I know a lot of people who are anti-pit bull, but love other breeds of dogs. This makes absolutely no sense to me, because as I have talked about numerous times in my videos, it is not only pit bulls that attack. Husky dogs are regularly attacking newborns. They're known as crib snatchers. They attack children as they are sleeping in their cribs and kill them. Dachshund dogs are ripping genitals off of babies because they like the smell of their diapers, and are attracted to the scent of urine and feces. All dogs have the ability, the capacity to seriously injure people, not only pit bulls. So to only be against pit bulls, to only hate that type of dog, makes absolutely no sense to me. Sure, they are responsible for the majority of attacks, and the most serious attacks. It's like almost 3/4 of dog bite fatalities are due to pit bull type dogs, but that's leaving 25% that are killed by other breeds. So that's not an insignificant percentage. Anyways, so this little boy that went into the garden to retrieve his ball, I remember reading, and you can look up the story online. There are multiple websites that publish the story, and if you look at the comments, they are the same comments you will read on any dog attack where a person entered another person's property. They'll say they had it coming. The dogs were just doing their job. There are people blaming this 6-year-old, saying that, it was his own fault and he was stupid to go into their yard to retrieve his ball. Now, when I was a kid, we were in and out of our neighbors' yards. If we were playing hide and seek, we had the freedom to go into our neighbors' yards. No one cared. Neighbors were friendly. We were welcomed by the neighbors. We were allowed to go and play in their yards if we wanted to. If we were to retrieve our ball from the neighbor's yard, there was no issue whatsoever. But we're living in a different time now where apparently this is not okay. I think it's ridiculous because let's say this boy had to go onto the neighbor's property for a different reason. Let's suppose his parents or his caregiver had suffered a heart attack or some other medical emergency or had an accident. And what if the child needed help? Is a child not allowed to go to the neighbors for help anymore? Apparently not. And that is outrageous. If you have a creature that is defending or protecting your property from intruders or whatever, then that creature needs to be able to discern a threat from a non-threat. If that creature cannot make that distinction, it needs a one-way ticket into the sun. It needs to be exterminated on sight. It has no place whatsoever in human society. I am sick and tired of innocent people being killed or severely injured or disfigured by dogs for doing nothing wrong. I have shared so many times canine myths. People still believe that when dogs attack, it is because they were mistreated or abused or something. That is false. Over and over again. If you read the reports, and most people don't, but when you read the reports, you see that there is no evidence, in most cases, no evidence at all that these dogs were trained to attack or were somehow mistreated or abused. In the majority of cases, they are sweet, loving family dogs that showed no aggression for years. And the owners and the neighbors and everyone is always shocked by the dog's sudden and unprovoked explosive aggression. Now, people who believe dogs have been abused or mistreated in order to become vicious will call you ignorant. And it's the other way around. They are the ones who are ignorant. They are the ones who are in denial about the true nature of dogs. They are unpredictable, ticking time bombs, all of them. It does not matter how they were raised. It does not matter at all who the owner is. They say blame the owner, not the breed. No, you don't blame the owner, because in the majority of cases, the owners were perfectly responsible owners who raised their dogs with love and trained them well. People need to read the reports. They need to open their eyes. The onus is on them to prove the dogs were mistreated or abused or trained to be vicious. And they cannot prove that. They have no idea how the dogs were raised. But there is no indication to suggest they were abused in the majority of cases. So to jump to that conclusion and assume that they were mistreated or abused is a leap that is just totally ridiculous. You cannot make that assumption. I feel like I'm repeating myself now, but I just had to say that. Having a dog protect your property and to use that as an excuse that the dog was just doing its job. If a child entered your yard is outrageous and disgusting because a child does not pose a threat. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. The future is dog free.